So we're on page 160 over here. So we're learning about the concept of or, lArba Asar, or the light of the 14th, and the 15th by day, the Gemara calls Rishon. So the Rebbe asked the question, what's the difference? And then he went on he started to explain, and we'll learn a little bit now inside, that here we're talking about something that's greater than both the night and the day. That's the implication, according to Chabad Hasidus, in this mimer, of the concept of Or and Rishon, and they, from that perspective, impacts the night of the 14th and the 15th. What that is and how that is, we don't know. Let's see how he says it. So we're on page 160, the fourth line, in the middle of the words, V'ho'inyan b'zehu. V'ho'inyan b'zehu, the idea is, the Arba Asar mispora yudalit. When you take 14, it's 14. It's miracles yudalit. The Chamisha Asar, and the 15th, mispora yudke, is yudke, the first two letters of Hashem's name, is 15. The Yudalit Hurak Milu Yachsorim Bilvad. What's the difference? Wonderful thought. Yudalit only fills the gap, fills what's chasar and what's lacking. Ukamoi, it says, Dei machseiroi asher yechzar loi. Shenema b'tzedakah. Regarding the mitzvah tzedakah, we know it says you have to give the poor person enough to fill him up, that he shouldn't be lacking any more. What's the word day? Dalit Yud. Reverse it, you get Yud Dalit. 14. In other words, here is a poor person who doesn't have a certain amount, and you fill him up, you give him the amount that he needs. So you have filled a gap, filled a chesaron, a deficiency. Shazeo madregas oni. This is the level of a poor person, a oni. Ukamay hey lachmo anya Pesach. Write down this word, chevra, and say it over your seder. It's beautiful. This is the bread of affliction. Hey lachmo anya di acholo avasana. What do we translate? Avram di achol avasana. That our ancestors ate. What's the word now? Is this, what language is this? Aramaic, not Hebrew, right? You all know the reason, because at that time, you want to invite someone, the common language was Aramaic, so just like today it'll be English. Go out in the street, say, come to my Seder. If you say it in Hebrew and English in Wyoming, they'll either think you're not normal or they'll just walk away. You want them to come into your Seder, speak the language of the country, speak English. So Aramaic, but look at the Aramaic word, di, that. But what is di? Dalit Yud. Reverse it, Yud Dalit. Why? Because since we're talking about Hey Lachmanya Diachol Avasana, and we're talking about the bread of affliction, and we're saying to a person, come and you don't have, come and join me for the Seder. So you're talking about a poor person. By a poor person, we say, fill him up as much as he needs, and day, Yudalit. So Yudalit, and the day of the verse by the poor person, and the day and the D of the Haggadah, all he's saying here are connected. It represents 14. So what's 14? To fill up something that's missing. This is my own thought, came to me now. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I haven't checked. Yad, a hand, is Yudalit. Give me a hand. Give me a hand because I need help. Again, I'm filling up a situation. I'm being mashlim. I'm completing a chesaron, something that's missing. Give me a hand. A hand, Yudalit. Avo, however, Moshe, did you follow what I said? Moshe. Yeah? Clear? Because I want you to say it over your Seder. Avo misper Yud-Kei, but the number 15, who misper Hasholim. 15 is completion, perfection. It's not Avram, something that's missing that you have to add to. To begin with, it's complete, it's whole. Yonason is what we call wholesomeness. Yud-Kei. The hey hu madregas oshi. Hey, it says in Kabbalah, is the level of a wealthy person. A nashir, talking about it financially, a nashir is not lacking. He has whatever he needs. He's a nashir. Hey is the level of ashir. The miliach sorin hagam shehu amshacha, says the Rebbe. When you fill a gap, something lacking, although you are drawing energy into it, you know where you're getting the source material from what we call the beginning of hishtalshalut, the beginning of the progressive chain of God's energy, infinite energy coming into the world. So in other words, from that level, from that experience, it's good, but it's already associated with negativity. Hishtalshalus is the beginning of creation. Creation has its challenges, as we know. So the beginning, the source of creation, is already the father figure for problems. So how much can you accomplish through Hishtalshalus? Only as much as to solve the problems. In other words, the problems are real. The issues are real. The difficulties and challenges are real. And I'm going to work to fill them up to solve the problem. The Oshi, conversely, a wealthy person, this represents who am shachas me'atzmus orein sof. Here, the experience is coming not from a place where the problem exists and how do I solve the problem, but to begin with, there's no problem, and we call that atzmos, essence of infinity. And you have to get used to this word, Yoni, atzmos ein sof. Chabad Hasidus, not probably, for sure, uses this word more than any other Hasidic teachings. This concept of atzmos, it's like thrown around like, peanut butter and jelly, lahavdil, okay? Even though we won't eat that as much today, it's not healthy, but atzmos. Go into any Lubavitch yeshiva and you'll hear Bacher and Beis Medrash, atzmos. What are they talking about, atzmos? Atzmos means essence, from the word Avram, etzem. And this is really, like I said, a chiddush of the Alter Rebbe began. It's not the previous Rebbe's chiddush, the Alter Rebbe. I mean, the sources for this already in the Arizal and the Ramak and the Zohar HaKodesh, no question about it. But the application and the particular usage, the way Chabad sees it in its teachings, is unique. And I don't want to go into it now. But the Rebbe Rashab, in his famous Maimorim that Jonas learned in Yeshiva, Samach Vov, the year 1906, the Maimorim, he talks at length about this, and that's one of his main nekudas, and it's based on the Alter Rebbe's Igeres HaKodesh Siman Chof, the 20th letter, where he talks about the Yesh Mi'ayin concept, and what's the chiddush, what's the novelty there? That it's associated with atzmos, not just with or. When you talk about or, light, energy, it's great. But it has a deficiency, because it's the beginning of deficiency. And if it's the beginning of deficiency, it's also deficient. Who can repeat that? This is what you get in yeshiva. What I just told you, this is what you get when you study in yeshiva, in a Chabad yeshiva. You don't get this anywhere else. But what is it? That something that is a makor for progression, for Hishtalshalus, in itself is already deficient.
Already lacking.
What'd you say? Yes, so
it's already lacking.
Yeah.
It's already deficient because it's not
essence. It's not partial. It's not essence. Exactly.
From the essence.
Exactly.
So even if the diminishment is minimal, there's a diminishment there.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about a diminishment in the makor, in the source. Not a diminishment in the poel, in the creation. A diminishment, the source of creation. And that's a chiddush. Because you would think that the source is pure. The source is the source.
You're talking the Or Ein Sof.
Yeah.
No. Yeah?
Yes, in the Or Ein Sof.
The Ein Sof itself, there's no diminishment in the Ein Sof.
Right. In the Or Ein Sof.
Only in the Or Ein Sof.
Very good, huh? We have here a real deep Hasidus student, I see. Yeah. That's right. You said it exactly. In the Rashab, if you're ever interested in following through on this topic, the Rashab in this Tofrei Samach Vov, 1906 Maimorim. This is the theme, one of his Maimorim over there is this Nakuda, what we spoke about. The difference between Ein Sof and Or Ein Sof, or better said, Atzmus and infinity. Essence and infinity. Anyway, I don't want to elaborate on this more, and I want to conclude here, but basically, what we're saying here is a great thought for itself to go into Shabbos with. Shabbos Zochor, right? What's the famous story with Reb Zalman Zezmer, a chassid of the Alter Rebbe, who, by the way, Moshe from Chicago. Reb Zalman Zezmer had a great-grandson who lived in Chicago. Solomon Jesmer, Jezmer. I found an article, and I put it into my book, Who's Who in Lubavitch, volume number 1, because I never heard that Zalman Zezmer, who's this massive chassid of the Balatanya, had a great-great-grandson in Chicago. Wasn't religious, but Jewish, and helped the previous Rebbe and the Yiddish causes. So Reb Zalman Zezmer, they saw him on Shabbos Zochor. When they said Zochor Shosacham Molik, they read Parsha Zochor, they saw a rage in his eyes to the Amalek. And they said, Zalman, where did you get that hate to Amalek? We knew you before. Every year you heard Parshas Amalek, Parshas Zochor, and you heard it, and you come. All of a sudden, we look at your eyes and your face, and I have to get rid of Amalek. He says, I heard it from my Rebbe. I became a chassid of the Balatanya, and from there I got my rage to Amalek. Now, we are not Zalman Zezmers, at least I'm not, and we're not Alter Rebbes, but the Nakuda is true today too. When you hear Parshas Zochor, it's not just everyone come to shul, it's a mitzvah to rise and listen to the Parsha. We know, of course, we're Orthodox Jews, we're from Jews. It's the animation that you need to bring to listening to Shabbos Parshas Zochor. By learning Chassidus Shabbos in the morning and thinking about this and learning the Maimer and rethinking it and building up your psyche and your emotions. And when someone looks at you at Kiddush, he says, Moshe, you really experienced Parsha Zochor. Not because that you're an angry person, because you're not. But you can't, this Amalek, you want to obliterate him, or you obliterated Amalek. This idea is, we learn about the Usher and the Ani, the Yudalid and the Tesvav is also associated with it. There is the way an Ani, a poor person, goes about Amalek. And in what way do you go about Amalek? There's a problem. I'm going to solve the problem. There's the attitude of an usher. You know what it says? Avram in Mishlei, Shlomo Melech says, Yosh usher Yanis Azus. An usher answers with chutzpah. Big shot. He has the yachts, the cars, the women, this, that. Whoa, big shot. Right? My story with the guy with the rings, the big shofar blower in the conservative shul, and with the house in Hawaii, tells me I put on film with him on Friday in Los Angeles on Wilshire Boulevard. He tells me, Rabbi, close the door. I say, no problem, but in the past you haven't been embarrassed. People outside, your secretaries, they see you putting on tefillin, you're proud, you're a proud Jew. He said, I'm still a proud Jew, but I got to tell you something. And he says, I'm a broken Jew. Why am I a broken Jew? Because I cannot leave my silverware in my house because my daughter steals it to barter the silverware for her drug use. So with all my rings, diamond rings, and all my big chauffeurs, and my houses, and he was a criminal lawyer, and he was proud to say he won 19 out of 19 major cases. I'm shattered. I can't live in my own house. It's my daughter. So the usher, it doesn't mean every wealthy person doesn't have deficiencies. Boy, do they have deficiencies. Big time. But nevertheless, there is a certain nekuda that the Rebbe is picking up on in this mimer, and Chazal pick up on it too. There is a certain, what's the word I want? A certain wholesomeness and like proudness, of a richness, a sophistication, aristocracy. And that's the attitude towards Amalek. Amalek, you don't have room to get in. Not that you're going to get in, I'm going to chase you out. I'm not letting you in. But why not? I have something to say. Over there you say it, not here. And that's what we have to train ourselves and train our kids and grandkids and family and friends, is that when you smell an Amalek, don't negotiate. Just do what you need to do. Because it's a waste of time. Look, the United States has been negotiating with Russia for years, kissing each other on the cheeks, hugging each other. Look what they get. We say in Yiddish, a feig. Yoni, you know what I mean, right? A feig. A fig. A feig. You get nothing. Why? Because it's all a game. We hug and kiss and make nice and meet in Geneva. And then when we want to do whatever we do, meaning the Russians, we do it. Now go and start, and pressure us, and hopefully everything will work. But I'm just saying, you have to know your enemy. You have to know Amalek. And if you know Amalek, you won't fall into a trap. And it's very, very important. And this is what Pasha Zochor teaches us. And this is what the Rebbe is saying here. Deal with the issues from an Atzmos perspective, not an Ein Sof. Not an Or Ein Sof, I'm sorry. The Or Ein Sof, as Yisra said, the infinite light. Light is wonderful, but if light's already associated with a situation, it's not unadulterated light. It's already a light that has a definition and an agenda. And when it comes to Amalek, there's no room for definitions and agendas. No negotiation, no conversation. This is the way it is. And when you go with that starkheit, people respect you more. People respect you more when you say who you are. You don't hide who you are. I mean, I told you, I had this meeting the other day with people from non-Orthodox circles, right? And I had the Rebbe's picture behind me like you see it now. And I said, that's right. That's the way my house is. I'm not changing. And the first comment was, you have the Rebbe's picture. Are you a Mashiachist? Are you not a Mashiachist? And I said, I am not a Mashiachist, but I'm proud to have the Rebbe's picture behind me. I spoke to them the other day. They said, Rabbi, we were blown away with your honesty. We were blown away with your honesty. And we want to kind of do business with you. Not business, We want to see if we could do something. Right? Don't change. You got a long beard? Use it. Someone doesn't like it? Too bad. When you start playing around, whatever it is, I just use beard as an example. Yarmulke. Dr. Schneider wearing the yarmulke. Another friend of mine. He's standing at the kotel. Someone comes over and puts a yarmulke on his head and he says, don't you ever take that off. He looks up. What? Who are you? It's not relevant. You're a Jew. The guy has a beard today, Tillis Pupik. Goes to the mikveh and davens and learns. You look at him, you think he's the Alter Rebbe's chassid, living during the Alter Rebbe's time. From a man putting a yarmulke on his head at the kotel and saying to him with strong eyes, seriously, don't you ever take that off. Right? So what will some people say? Oh, that's heavy. Heavy-handed. Maybe it's heavy-handed, but it happened. And you know when it works? When you're coming from your heart. When you're coming from your cup and your ego, it's heavy-handed and it's going to backfire. But when you're coming from your heart, you're genuine, it's going to work. Remember Futavas, 1963. He just left 9 years in the gulag and working hard. He comes to Chernovitz. He works with the Ribnitzer Rebbe. Right? He comes finally to England to his son. He's free. He goes out to the streets. He takes a pair of tefillin. He sees someone and he looks at him and he says, Jew? And the guy says, Jew? He rolls up his sleeve. He puts the tefillin on. And the guy's standing, what's going on? He says, Jew, tefillin. He doesn't know English, but he knows the heart. Jew, tefillin. So, Chevra, I'm telling you, there's no guarantees in life, but you could say that this recipe works. My son wrote me a wonderful email this morning. He says, my grandson, who's bar mitzvah Hashem, is a few days before Pesach. He came to me and he said this morning. He said, "Ta, I want to be like you. I want to teach Torah to other Yidden." So my son writes to me. He says, "You know why he said that? Because he sees me. People come in and I learn with them Torah. I learn them in shul Torah. I teach them Torah. Although he's a businessman." He says, I don't say to him, do this. I'm an example. I'm doing this. So automatically he picks it up. You know, Chevre, it's Pasha Zochor. We have to again commit ourselves to atzmos, to essence, and not allow any person, as close or far as they may be, to stop us from the derech. That's another thing we learned in the last Maimer. Asher korcha baderech. Apathy in your derech. Whoa, you're a chassid. Oh, you're a litvak. Oh, you're a svardik. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. That's the derech I chose. Why do you poo-poo my derech? Why? You don't want to do it? Don't do it. What right do you have to poo-poo someone's derech? Asher korcha baderech. Amalek seeks to poo-poo the derech. Don't allow that. Have a great Shabbos, everyone. We'll see everyone Monday, but Hashem. Zay gesund. Bye-bye. Take care.